Hey, what's going on right now? You're watching Casino is the Name, and I'm here with Miss Turner. She's a lawyer here at Cunty Moore Law, and I just want to see, if she can tell us some things about becoming a lawyer, about what her path was, and for people who may be aspiring or just curious about the field, just kind of give them some background. So, Miss Turner, where are you from?
I'm from Tallahassee, Florida.
Okay, me too. That's what's up. Okay, Tallahassee. All right. So, what was your upbringing like? How did you know that you wanted to become a lawyer?
I was always really interested in like civics and history. I'm like a nerd, so I
Okay.
enjoyed learning about people going through historical times and people being able to like advocate for themselves or gain information to turn it into some form of power.
Okay. So, were you around any lawyers or?
Not really. It was really like, I think it was like an AP class that I took in high school, and my teacher was really good about that. And so I came really knowledgeable about like what it meant to advocate for people and how it affects people.
Now, I found something you just said interesting.
What's that?
So, you said put people in positions of power or something about power, right? So, you basically thought about the profession as because of your knowledge, it'll put you in a position of power as a lawyer, I guess.
Well, not necessarily me, but individuals
In
of the
the
people.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That learning about the law makes you powerful.
Yeah.
Being able
Definitely.
to wield the law at your to your, you know, ability,
Command or,
command,
yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Okay. So you basically chasing power.
Not me chasing power,
She was
but
chasing
like
power, y'all.
I was not chasing power. So really what it was about, it was
Okay.
like in a historical context when you have people, a group of people who are like rebelling against like monarchies and things like that. And in order for them to gain power, get out of their position or change their
Yeah.
positions, they had to become knowledgeable about the law. So it
Yeah.
wasn't about me getting the power, but it was about like people gaining knowledge and getting power from being knowledgeable.
Look, I completely understand it because, like, part of the reason I wanted to be a federal employee or a government employee was because the people who make the decisions of what the law even is are government employees or to some degree. And so that was part of the reason why I wanted to be in the federal government because I wanted to basically make changes for people that I was seeing needed to be made from my level, but there was no real other way to do that from my level without going into the government or something, you know?
So it's kind of similar,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So I understood what you meant, you know? I think I was trying to say she was just power hungry, trying to help people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so what time do you remember when you decided that you were definitely going to become a lawyer, or was it always kind of maybe I'll do it or maybe I won't?
So I think it was like junior year in high school for me.
Okay,
Yeah, that's when I made the decision.
okay. So what like I guess like caused you to make that decision?
It was that class. It
Oh,
was
that
like
one
thinking about, it was
class.
the class that I took and thinking
Okay.
about what I could do to help people change and advocate for people. And you get the stereotypical where you like to argue, you like to debate, you're kind of good
Oh,
at this kind of
okay.
thing. Those are the usual
Right.
things that people think about when they think about people becoming lawyers.
Okay. So did you know how long the path was to becoming a lawyer?
Yeah, I did. I
Okay.
looked into it and, got some information about it, so I did.
Okay. All right. So could you please tell the people who may not know what it takes to become a lawyer, like what's the pathway?
So you have to have an undergraduate degree, of
Okay.
course.
What's an undergrad degree? What's
So
that?
it can be any 4-year degree, right?
Yeah.
Where, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a 4-year degree because some people get a associate's degree and then they go on to get a bachelor's degree.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but at some point, as long as you have a bachelor's, you can then apply to go to law school. And then law school is another 3 more years
Okay.
after you get your bachelor's degree. So you're talking about maybe around 7 years of school
Okay. 7 years of school after high school. Okay.
after high school. And then you also have to take the LSAT in order for you to get into law school. Well,
Okay.
so there's some changes. I don't know if you want me to say that.
Yeah. No. Please.
So there are changes, right? Whether or not you have to apply to go to law school or apply to take the LSAT, which is kind of like the GRE. It's a standardized test to test your
Okay.
knowledge about analytics and analyzing concepts and critical thinking and all of that stuff.
Okay.
So you have to pass the LSAT and receive an acceptable score when you apply to go to law school, and the law schools are assessing and looking at your LSAT score to determine whether or not you're going to be eligible or you're going to get admitted into the law school.
Okay, and the reason why I'm saying go ahead and say it, because first of all, my sister's also a lawyer. She's been trying to get me to go to law school. I'm not going, but it is interesting information even for me to hear, like.
You low-key want to be a lawyer, you do.
I'm an accountant. I'm happy with that. Okay, I'm perfectly fine with that. But I do have a lot of. I mean, my sister's been a lawyer. She's 9 years older than me, so I've been around it a lot. Anytime I ever needed to like file something, I'd call her and say, "Hey, what should I do?" And she'll say,
"Go to law school.
Look it up," and she'll give me like a general, direction. But for most things, she would be like, if I had any questions, she'll give me pointers, but she kind of made me file a lot of things myself or whatever, but I still had her guidance, But, okay, so, all right, so you have to get the LSAT. And is that specific to anybody looking to go to law school, or is there like let's say I'm older, right, and I decide I want to go to law school. I already got an undergrad degree. Do I still have to take the LSAT?
It depends on where you want to go to school. So each school sets their standards on what they require, what the requirements are. And so you can come across some schools that are moving away from the LSAT and they don't require that. But then other schools do. That's a part of their requirements, a list of requirements. So if you want to go to school that requires you to take the LSAT, then you want to get a favorable score, passing score. And then after you attend law school, of course, you have to take the bar exam.
Okay, so basically, I don't necessarily have to take the LSAT.
Depending on the school you want to go to. So
right.
if you find a school.
If I get the right school, I'm going to start looking.
Go ahead.
I'm not going. But I want to know that I want to do videos for them because I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
See, that way I can look. If I did decide that I was going to do it, I can at least justify me looking into it for other people.
Okay.
Okay, so the LSAT and now the bar. All right, so this bar exam. I'm not sure what it's like. My sister gave me some information about it, but is it very difficult to pass? Because I know that people don't always pass it.
It can be, depending on your study habits. So it's a state-specific exam. So each state has their own bar exam and their own requirements of what you need in order to pass the bar for each specific state. So in Florida, there is a 2-part exam where you have to answer questions that are specific about the state that you're wanting to practice in, and then there's a second part of the exam which is more like a national exam where you're being tested on information about things that are standard across all of the states.
So is the bar broken into multiple sections, like as far as parts? Okay.
So in several states, the bar exam typically lasts more than 2 days or 2 days at least, right? And most times they will break those days down and you'll test on a certain area or that state information on one day, and then you'll have the rest of the exam for another day. So in Florida, it's 2 days.
Okay, so you're barred in Florida.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I guess, like, do you know what the pass rate is on passing the bar, or
so
what it was when you did it in Florida? I guess you can say.
I actually don't remember. It was so long ago, man. I don't remember what the rate was, but it's a difficult exam.
Like, that's why I was wondering, like, is it like a 50-50%, or is it like a higher? Is it like 80% of the people who take it pass it?
I believe it's somewhere between 50 and 60% kind of is what the passage rate is. And that fluctuates from year to year, the cycle of the exam, because they do a very good job of making it a difficult exam. They want to make it difficult so that everybody can pass it. So
I think they should make it easier.
I doubt they do.
Florida Bar or the Bar Association, make it easier so we can get more lawyers up out of there, okay? Because if I decide I want to go back to law school, I need that bar to be easy.
It's not.
If I give y'all 7 years of education, that should be enough, okay? As an accountant, I don't have to pass a particular exam to work as an accountant. I can get a bachelor's degree in accounting, and I can make six figures, and I could work my way up into a six-figure salary in a couple years, 5-6 years. I'd be in six figures. But for lawyers, if you don't pass the bar, just like going to medical school, you go to medical school all those years and you don't pass that board certification or whatever, you don't become a doctor. And it's like, what do you do?
Well, I mean, there's a difference. There are people who go to law school and they get their Juris Doctorate, right? And they have a JD. And if,
still a doctorate.
Right, it's still a doctorate.
You can teach.
So there are positions and things that people can do without passing the bar exam. Okay. Right? Now, they can work as a Juris Doctorate.
This is really good information then, because I would like to know what is that? What can they do with it?
So some people have jobs working in compliance, right? Okay. So they're not in court, they're not before a judge. With the JD, there are also positions that require like document review. So as a JD, you're reviewing the documents, you're looking for some type of process or compliance and things like that. So there are a couple of positions that are out there that you can.
Okay, but with those positions, do you have to have a JD to do those jobs?
It depends. Like there are positions that at minimum they only require JD. They don't require you to become a licensed attorney. But
I mean, like you have to have a JD in order to do the job.
Yeah.
See, that's what I didn't know, right? Because as an accountant, we can also work in compliance. I don't know about the version you're referring to, but I worked as an auditor, so we dealt with policies, procedures, regulations, and there was compliance sections and other things like that. So. But our fields are very, very close the way it's paired with, let's say, like the government, the way I've seen it at least. Because I used to work for Inspector General, and it was either a lawyer or an accountant as the IG. Typically, it was a lawyer who was the IG, but, in the different times, it'd be, a CPA or whatever. But I was just wondering if it's the job itself specifically said you need a JD in order to, even if you haven't passed the bar. That's interesting. So we need to look into this more. I need to do more research on that so I can present that, because part of what I'm doing with the channel is I was talking about entrepreneurship and trucking and real estate and all of these different things. Of course, careers and education, and people have been wanting to do videos about high-paying careers, which brings me to this situation. So they want to know what they should go to school for, because they've been going to school for the wrong thing. They're getting psychology degrees, and they don't plan on being psychologists, and they're getting criminal justice degrees, and they don't plan on being law enforcement or lawyers. So we're trying to, show people, hey, if you really want to get serious about your money, these are the fields you need to go into, right? And one of the ones that keep showing up is lawyer. Lawyer, doctor, accountant, engineer is like some of the main four.
Well, some people have that misconception that you have to decide before law school what kind of area you want to practice, but you don't, right? You can go through law school and then make a decision and do internships and, gain experience in other ways before you make a decision about which area of the law you want to practice.
Okay, so speaking of that, what area of law do you practice?
I practice family law. So I deal with divorces, custody disputes, paternity cases, child support, anything related to those areas is what I do.
Okay, so how did you get into this specific form of law?
I took a clinic when I was in law school. So I think it was like my third year of law school, where you're almost finished and you're looking into different areas and you're trying to figure out which direction you want to take. So when you're in law school as a third year student, you're able to take some of those different classes to see what fits, what you like, what you don't like, that type of thing. So my third year, I took a clinic. I participated in a clinic, and it was a family law clinic, and I got to go to court. I was working under a professor that was a head of the clinic or part of the clinic at the time, and I really liked the idea. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to court. I enjoyed advocating for my client, and I made a decision that was what I wanted to do.
Wow. So is there any other like type of law that was like a close second where you was like, maybe, but no, I'm gonna stay over here?
Yeah, I thought about juvenile law, which here in Florida we really refer to it as dependency.
Okay.
So when you're thinking about some of those like really bad headline cases where things like awful things happen to kids and they're abused and they have to be taken out of the home, that's more so dependency where DCF has to get involved in all of those things. So I thought about practicing that area, and I made a decision that that wouldn't have been a good fit for me.
Okay. Okay. So you ever thought about running for politics? Side note.
I have.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've thought about
Okay.
it, but not
Okay.
too much. Not
All
too
right.
much.
So we're gonna vote for you. I mean, I'm a Georgia resident, but you know, we'll figure it out. All right. So okay. So is there any particular thing that you would tell someone who may be interested in becoming a lawyer, like from your experiences? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Things that you maybe didn't realize were kind of nuanced items that, you know, maybe you would have chose something different, or you're completely satisfied with your career as a lawyer?
I'm satisfied. I like my job. Right? It's very difficult to do. Like
She like it?
the clients can be difficult. It can be very stressful. But overall, I like my job. I like doing what I do. I like advocating for clients. But to answer your question about what I would do differently, I think sometimes there's a whole lot of stock in where you go to school and what school you choose. And a lot of the times that doesn't really have an impact
I
on
tell
what
people
type
that
of
all the
job. Like,
time,
it
yo.
really doesn't. Like,
I tell
you
people
know,
that all the time. As long as you get it done, get it done. Go.
and get it done for cheap, right?
Get
So you don't have to go to a 4-year university. You
I'm
can get
telling
your
you.
associate's degree and then transfer. You don't have
Yeah.
to take out all of those student loans.
Yeah.
You
I would
can
go to the cheapest law school I could get into. And that's typically going to be a public school, like a state school or something like that. Everybody's going to Harvard or trying to go to Harvard and Yale and all of the private schools and stuff like that. But man, I would have went to Georgia State, Florida State, UGA.
Well, I don't know about Florida State. Go Gators.
Okay.
But I'm just saying.
University of Georgia. Okay, I mean Florida. I don't know what I just did. Okay, it's a huge rivalry between Florida Gators and Florida State. All right. So okay, well, there you go. Is it I thought that was a private school.
No, UF is in private.
Somebody told me that was a private school.
It is not a private school.
It's Miami, University of Miami.
Miami is a private
University
school.
of Miami is a private school. Yeah, I knew it was one of them. I'm like, wait, that's surprising.
You can compare the cost of the schools, right?
Yeah.
And figure out what works best. And then you also don't be afraid. Like sometimes people are like very hesitant about going to law school because they might be older or it might be a second career for them. But that's okay too. Like, it's okay to get other experience in a different field or figure out, other things that you like or don't like before you start law school.
Yeah.
There are some people who go the route of working in a law firm, like as a paralegal or legal assistant before they start law school. I think that that's a really good idea for people that are considering maybe going part-time, and you can work part-time as a paralegal or a legal assistant before you start, because it really can give you a whole lot of insight on what it's really like to practice law instead of just studying it, because going to law school really doesn't tell you how to practice or teach you how to practice law. It just teaches you the law. So I think working as a paralegal or a legal assistant can be a benefit to going to law school before you actually go.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up, but I got two last questions. Well, one may be a little, might curve a little, because we got to talk about the money.
Okay.
We got to talk about the money.
Got to talk about
That's
money.
that's what they watch for.
Okay.
They want to know about the money.
They want to know about
So
money.
she's a lawyer, and I cannot get away from asking for a new person getting, just past the bar, got their first job. What can one, such as if I decided to go back to law school, which I'm probably not ever going to do something like that, but what would be entry level salary And I know what you're going to say, but don't say it.
It depends. It
really does. Say it. They always say that. It depends.
It does. I mean, it's such a lawyer answer, but it's true, though. It depends on the area of law you want to practice. It depends on what city and state you want to practice
Let's say your area of law.
Okay. So...
Yeah.
But you also have to remember, I've graduated law school almost.
I know. So not now.
Okay.
I mean, but I still want to know like a current kind of thing. But I know it's not where you are. But what are you seeing people coming in? Because I know you're seeing new lawyers.
Yeah.
Applying.
So there are people that apply, and of course there's some companies that are going to put stock into what you did in law school, where you on review, did you get published, those types of things, whether or not you have experience in any kind of clinics or practical experience can also impact how much you're going to make. But coming out of law school, in family law in Orlando, Florida, you can make $70,000 coming out of law school and build your way up and
$70,000
anywhere
out of law school. That's good. That's good. I mean, of course,
starting wages.
For starting, I need people to understand starting wages. That's good. $70,000 to start is good. Now, when you start looking at your student loan costs and things like that, you're like $70,000.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good for me. So but $70,000 would be good to be 7 years out of high school. So let's say you graduated high school at 18. You're 25, right? Mm-hmm. Those numbers add up, right? I'm an accountant now. Y'all looking at me crazy. She was looking at me crazy, like
I'm not a number
25.
I had to make sure.
Like,
I had to make sure your math was right, but it's right. It's right. Okay.
She looked at me crazy. I was like, wait, not on camera. Not on camera. I'm not gonna get this wrong on camera. Trust me. So you're 25, making $70,000 first year. That's good. That's good. It's people who 55 not making $70,000. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, they're not lawyers more than likely, but $70,000 is good because the salary increases from there.
It can, right? Mm-hmm.
Don't look at it as like that's the end.
That's your starting point.
That's the starting point. So, if I'm not mistaken, you had a bidding war over you, right?
Oh my goodness.
She had a bidding war over her, man.
I don't know if I would say that. But.
I would say that. Okay, so let's say 10 years in, where could somebody expect to be? That's why I said the question, because this is still part of the first question. Mm-hmm. So the first question is starting 10 years in, and then a senior partner.
Yeah, so that depends on the firm. It depends on the size of the firm.
They always say this. But typically, not necessarily even talking here.
Yeah.
But like, what are you seeing from medium-sized to large firms?
I mean, you can be making anywhere from $100,000 to $150,000, $200,000, like 10 years in, depending on what you've done.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all hear that? She said 200,000 too easy, first of all. And she kept climbing. She said 150, 200. Like, she just kept climbing. It was too easy. 200,000. Y'all could be making 200,000 a year 10 years in. Okay.
I mean, there are things
that's potentially. Potentially.
Right.
But, so whenever I speak on lawyers and doctors and things like that, I usually speak towards the higher end just because people don't know, but like regular people don't realize what percentage of like students actually become lawyers or doctors. And you're talking like 1% of like the top 1% of students or 10% of students ever go on to become a doctor or a lawyer, right? So all of you guys are superstars. So when I think about, well, are you going to be a rock star, lawyer? Yes, of course, because you already a rock star. You're already going to be at the, you deserve the 200,000 because not a lot of y'all up there. That's rare air right now, okay? So I typically speak towards the higher end, but like, let's say if I was speaking about accountants, I wouldn't speak to the higher end because it's not as difficult of a path. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of us, there's some accountants out there who can't count. Like you have been tried and tested and true. Now, we don't have a license that prevents us from being able to work as an accountant, but we still have board certifications like CPA, CMAs, CIAs, and CFEs. You can still go do that, but it doesn't really stop us from being able to generate income for our family.
Now the 200,000 mark, that I mean, you can, like, the sky's the limit depending on what you make.
The sky's the limit.
I mean, it is, like, depending on the structure that you have in the pay structure. Some firms will give you a percentage of cases that you bring in, right? So if you are networking and you have, you know, a good following, or you have a good clientele, then that can also boost your income, right? So there are several things that you can do along the way to push that ceiling and push that number a little bit higher, depending on how much work you're wanting to put in and how often you're going to be, you know.
You know what? Even like I'm done. Okay, well, I got the one last part of that question is senior partner. What would typically a senior partner 15, 20 years in?
I mean,
here you go again. I know she's trying to say it again.
It depends. It does because
it depends.
When you're a partner,
200 plus.
Yes.
200.
Yeah.
You said that with like a lot of conviction. Did y'all see how she said? She said yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, because when you're a partner, you're most likely going to have like a contract to your partnership with the firm.
Okay.
And so the amount of money that you can make depends on those terms and how you set up that contract.
Okay.
But when you become a partner, there's also things that you have to consider about, like investing in the partnership, the overhead.
You're a business owner as a partner,
the expenses.
Right?
So,
can you make $1 million a year as a partner?
You can.
Can you look into?
You can make $1 million a year as a partner at a law firm.
Okay, that's all I want. All right, that was kind of that. I did have one more question, but I think that we're good.
Okay.
I think we're good. I think that summed it all up right there. You can make $1 million a year as a senior partner at a law firm. It's possible. Anyway, right now you're watching Casino is the Name. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. You want to tell them where they can find you?
So my name is Amina Turner. You can find my firm's website at contimorelaw.com.
There you go. And we out. There are hedge fund managers making $1 million an hour. You know, it's crazy, right? It's money everywhere. It's money in everything. I want to help you. Start your business today. Come join my royal family. Subscribe to Casino is the Name.